Here we go. Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to my workshop, Stuck in Your Head. We're going to be talking about why smart people, and you are here, I assume, that you must have been stuck in your head here and there. I know for certain that I've been stuck in my head many times before, which is obviously why this is a subject that is close to my heart. We're going to be talking today about why smart people think too much and do too little, and how you can fix that. So my mission for today for you is going to be talking about the problem of being stuck, why it's a problem, why it's important to fix it. And it may be quite different than what you think. The fix may be quite different than what you think it is. I will give you some supporting data. I will also give you some techniques that will help you to overcome roadblocks, and then a little bit more at the end. So I have one quick question that I'd like you to think about right now. And at the end, I hope I'll remember to ask you is, what is it that you think is keeping you stuck, that is stopping you from doing things, from taking action? If you have paper and pen, just write it down and write down what it is that you think is keeping you stuck. I will let people in as they come. So if I take a moment to stop, then that's the reason. All right, so write it down, and then I'll ask you in a little while again. So the one thing that I want you to get out of tonight, which is what I want everyone to get out of any of my workshops, which is something that is so important to me, is that everything you need is already within you. And what sets you apart is that you are here and that you are seeking that which is seeking you as well. So there is a moment of awakening in you, which has drawn you to come to this workshop. And there's a reason why you are here. And my intention is to give you answers, perhaps different than what you expected them to be. So it is what is keeping you very often are limiting, not so much beliefs as decisions that you have made a long time ago based on situations in your life. And let me allow this person to come. All right. Here's what I've got for you. I have to remind myself of this as well. In a little bit, I will give you some ways that you can get certain bonuses and free gifts from me, and I'll share that with you in a moment. But let's get started, shall we? Oh, before we get started, let me tell you who I am. I am obviously Marina Shakur Haber. I have been a life coach for more than a decade. I'm practitioner of clinical hypnotherapy, of NLP, positive psychology, timeline therapy, and I'm adding on neurosomatic dynamics. I'm the author of these 2 books, and I work predominantly with people who are high achievers, entrepreneurs, professionals. I've been working with young and old athletes, speakers, and people in the public eye. And my focus is taking you out of the frenzy into the flourishing. So let's get started with the material that I've prepared for you tonight. So here we go. Many of you, as you are stuck in your head, you are most likely scared that you'll make the wrong decision. So because of that, you keep rethinking the same thing over and over again. You, instead of moving forward, you're spinning, you're running the same scenario over and over in your mind. You weigh every possible scenario, every possible outcome. You are considering of all the things that could go wrong. Someone is not muted, so let me just quickly check who that is. Here we go. I muted you. And so, oh, back we went. So sorry. All right. So here's the thing. You are considering, you're thinking, you're spinning, you're thinking, and you're scared. And the more you think about it, the more uncomfortable you become about it. The harder it is to think about taking action and finding a solution. The painful gap is that you think too much and you do too little. And by doing that, you know logically, rationally, that opportunities pass you by because you're stuck with the one problem. You have deadlines that come and go, and you're missing new opportunities. You know that others are getting ahead because they think less and do more. They just get it done. And you start perhaps even comparing yourself to others, which makes matters even worse because now you're taking away from your self-esteem even more. Your confidence erodes. And with that, you delay decisions even more. The gap between where you are and where you want to be gets wider and wider and wider. And that makes it even harder. The really frustrating part is that you have the intelligence, you have the knowledge. And from the way we have been looking at it, generally speaking, in the past, is that motivation, get going, just do it already. It's not how it works. If you've been in it, you know that that helps a little bit, but it really is not strong enough. The reason is you're anxious, you're worried, you're nervous. The problem isn't that it's your intelligence, your motivation, your willpower, but it has to do with your nervous system and your unconscious mind. The thing is that what we need as humans is a sense of safety and security. When you're feeling anxious and nervous, you're not feeling safe. Therefore, your system goes into protection, which means it makes you feel safe, but it also keeps you stuck because the unconscious mind and the nervous system, they are not logical, they're purposeful, and their purpose is to protect you and to keep you safe. That's why the motivation is not the real solution. Why is it a problem? Well, if you've been in it, you know, your momentum dies. The momentum dies because you're spinning, you're stuck. It's like you're stuck and you're spinning and you're spinning. Not only are you spinning and spinning, but the energy of that engine is put into the spinning, the revolving and useless spinning, instead of going towards the solving. So it's a double problem. You're nurturing the problem versus feeding the solution. Your confidence obviously erodes, opportunities pass you by, and the problems keep compounding. And what you're really doing is you are deepening your neural pathways, the ruts. Remember the spinning of the car tires? By spinning more and more, if it's in grass or in a muddy terrain, you're going deeper and deeper. It's the same thing when we keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. We're creating deeper neural pathways and reinforcing the walls of the ones we've built already. This continues feeding the problem. Here's what's at stake if you don't solve this. Well, you will never know what you're capable of because you're constantly stuck in the problem. the regret compounds. The regret is not of the things that you have done, but the regret of the things you haven't done. You regret of all the possibilities, the potential that passed you by because you stayed where you are, spinning in the same place. It spreads to everything. It will not only affect the decision at hand or a future decision, but it will spread to all areas of your life, your social life, your personal life, your career. Can we please make sure that stay muted? Can we please stay muted? That would be very nice. I will look who it is. Thank you. Someone must have muted themselves. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. So the problem compounds because you continue it. It spreads to everything and you model it for others. You, as a person people look up to or not, it doesn't matter, but you model it in your world around you, your family, your friends. You're spreading this stuckness and this negative energy. Energy goes outside of you. That's right. So now, this is not only information that I've come up with, but it's data. I have data that will absolutely support this. So let's go. Here is data point number 1. Decision fatigue is real. Research shows that the quality of decisions deteriorates after making many decisions. It is a phenomenon called decision fatigue. It's the act of deliberating, not only deciding, depletes your mental resources. Now, imagine it is a reservoir and you're putting all of that energy that's in the reservoir towards decision-making, the deliberating, and the deciding. So you're draining your energy. It's logical. That is why Mark Zuckerberg wears gray T-shirts. I believe Steve Jobs always wore black. President Obama had 2 colors of suits, blue and black. Simplify it. So that's why you don't want to put all that attention into the little meaningless decisions of the day, because it will just deplete your energy. And energy is really important, especially with as we go forward, and you will see why that is so important. Perfectionism drives overthinking. May I ask whoever is unmuted to mute yourself, because it really is a problem with the sound. Okay, you muted. Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let me see that I can close this. All right. Decision fatigue is real. We just said that. Perfectionism drives overthinking. I'll get a little bit more into perfectionism in a moment. Perfectionism is about overthinking and being absolutely perfect. You can't deliver something until it's perfect. We all know that state will never exist. But the key, the importance here is the element of fear. Not so much the feeling, the fear, the fear. Not only is it the fear of failing, but it is also we're having this image in our mind of being so perfect, of getting everything right, that this high expectation, which really creates that huge gap from where we are to where we want to be and what we want to achieve, that stops us, and that creates that analysis paralysis, decision paralysis, and emphasis on the word paralysis, and you'll find out why that is so important. Not only because it rhymes, but there's a reason. The negative impact that this has, perfectionism and the paralysis, is that it increases your anxiety more. It leads to depression and increases low self-esteem. all unfavorable. The third one is that action reduces anxiety. You know it yourself. When, for example, you had a project, perhaps you had to do something, or you were in a game and you were very nervous about doing it. But then once you got into motion and that energy of yours fed into getting your muscles or your mind moving forward, it took it away from feeding the anxiety. That's why it reduces anxiety, because you're putting it into something else. The problem with this is that getting you to take action also means most of the time that you have to get out of your head, that you have to get out of the overthinking. Now, again, it's not only a problem that is in your head. There are other reasons why you're doing that. So the problem, I have broken it into 3 parts: the rumination, the cognitive overload, and the perfection trap. The rumination is the mental loop, the spinning your wheels and continuously finding yourself to repeat, replaying the same scenarios of either the past, of data that you have from the past, when a decision that you have made didn't work out so well, and you're focusing on the past, you're ruminating. Rumination is usually not holding on to the good memories, especially when you find yourself in anxiety. Anxiety is the fear of the future, while rumination is the holding on to the past, but usually the negative events in the past. So you're not solving any problems, you're just spinning those wheels. And what are we doing when we're doing that? We are feeding the problem. We are feeding the anxiety. Rumination is when you replay the same scenario. The what-if questions that usually either have no answer, or what if it goes wrong. When you're in that state of mind, it is very hard to think, what if it goes right? You imagine every possible thing that could go wrong, and you're feeling yourself leaning back farther and farther, being more paralyzed, dwelling on past decisions, data that was not favorable, and analyze, and you still can't reach a decision. Rumination activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is the body's fight or flight response. And by you being in this ruminating, or being in the constant stress or state of anxiety, that leads you to a chronic imbalance, the chronic stress state, which interrupts your body's balance. It increases the stress hormones and can lead to physical symptoms much more than only headaches and fatigue. Those are the immediate symptoms. More than just mental issues like anxiety and depression, but it leads to heart issues, to digestive issues, to diabetes, you name it. It really is, it can create serious diseases. Now, the sympathetic system, nervous system, is the fight or flight system, the ones that gets activated when your body believes there is a real or perceived threat. It cannot differentiate between the two. To be clear, I'm not putting the sympathetic system down. I am alerting you to a chronic state of anxiety. That's when there is the abuse or misuse of the potential and the protection that the sympathetic system gives you. Anything in imbalance will not serve us. So this year, when you are in the stress state, it is designed to keep you safe and protected. So it warns you, it turns on the alarm system, which is why your chemicals are flowing, your blood, your oxygen, your hormones are all going, feeding the flight or fight. It is constricting because here's what it thinks: the house is on fire. I must protect the integrity. I must protect the house. And when you're in this state, you cannot think because it shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the logic. It cannot do both. That's why you can't think your way out of this, which is an important element to remember. The parasympathetic is the calming, the soothing, the relaxation. Yet, when you're in a state of overwhelm, it shuts you down because it must protect you. It fragments you. Part of you goes into the freeze and fawn. You pushing out of the body because it's too much. That's why the paralyzing occurs. You can't move anymore. That's when it is in the protective mode, and it activates your dorsal vagal pathways. When it is balanced, it is when it's balanced, you can access your prefrontal cortex. There's cognitive thinking, there is strategy, expansive, looking towards the future, focusing on growth, on possibilities. That's what that does when it is in balance. Both are needed. We need both. These are the areas. This is the neocortex. And with the prefrontal cortex being here, it cannot work when this is in alarm. This is the limbic system and the amygdala. And when they're in charge, everything else must shut down. This is when you are in imbalance. Either way, being in imbalance is not helpful. When the sympathetic is all the way up, that means you're depleting the rest. So this is horrible. This is what you need. How do you get there? I'll show you in a moment. Furthermore, what it does is that when you're stuck and you're thinking and you're thinking and you're thinking and you're spinning those wheels and you're putting all that energy into nurturing, into feeding the problem, the threat, the stuckness, while you are taking away from your inner resources, your self-esteem. You underestimate, not only do you underestimate, but you're giving away from you to feed that. Temporarily, the indecision or the avoidance, the procrastination will give you relief. Thank God. But what it really does, it feeds the threat and the problem. Cost of rumination is that you can't move forward. There's a physical exhaustion, emotional, mental, spiritually. It creates the illusion as if you're doing something when you are not, and you're holding on to past problems, past pain, and you're deepening those neural pathways. So that is a problem. The cognitive overload is when you are faced or you're adding too many options on your plate. What that does is you're adding more and more to your smorgasbord of options, your smorgasbord of problems. So you're adding more and more to it, which becomes such a problem, because now what you're doing is coming back to the firehouse and the alarm and the fire. You're sending all your internal firemen all out to all those fires with all the options that you've given yourself, and you're depleting again yourself. It paralyzes you. you are depleting, taking away from yourself. To give you another example, imagine you're going to the supermarket to buy olive oil. I noticed lately that you have probably 20 different bottles of olive oil, brands of olive oil, different kinds. And you just stand and go, oh. You go to Costco, two choices. You either take this one or you take that. Maybe they have three by now because it's such a hot item, but that's it. So it calms your system down. That's it. They've chosen for me already. So the paradox with that is you think that the more options you have should make the decision easier. But it really makes the decision harder because you've not eliminated anything, and it leads to that overload and the analysis paralysis, the one that gets your sympathetic and your parasympathetic system into imbalance, whichever one it is addressing. It is the key to this one is you need to calm the system first before you can make a decision so that you don't choose to overload it more and more. The perfection trap is, as I said earlier, what that does is you're setting impossible expectations. You cannot make a decision because it may not be the right one. What if you're not getting it right? You usually don't see, but what if I get it right? It is paralyzing you, which is precisely the problem. And so you're staying stuck in this perfection trap. If it's not perfect, I can't move forward. But what it is the fear about fear, the fear of not being perfect, which is creating your paralysis. The nervous system is back in action. Now, here's the other thing, that you may not think that you are nervous or anxious, but by associating, by dealing with a problem, your system associates it with, ooh, that used to be a problem. I need to go into action. I need to activate the system. That happened to me last week. And I thought, I wonder why I'm doing that. And then I realized it because the body remembers. Every cell and every nerve in your body carries memory with it. And so does your nervous system. Protect, you're holding it in your body. I was working with a gentleman who had a bad breakup, and he was heartbroken. And he realized logically, cognitively, rationally that he had to move forward. Language had to, must move forward. There's no excitement in things that we must do. In reality, he had not healed the wounds of this relationship yet. Therefore, he found the excuses, the reasons why he could not yet move forward, because he had to lose weight, he had to get ripped, he had to look really good. And it was really a procrastination and the avoidance, because he couldn't move forward yet because he hadn't dealt with the past. We started to first work on the system, the nervous system, calm it down, get it out of this super alert, hypervigilance and alarm, so that then we could work with healing the wounds, so that then he could move forward and no longer be stuck in analysis or perfection or what have you. What needs to change is not your motivation or willpower. That only gets you so far. It is about deciding to work in the system that is responsible for keeping you so overly protected. It is about deciding to create new neural pathways and to make them more efficient. It is choosing somatic interventions that work through your body and your nervous system. So that is what will help you to do the things that you know you want to get done, right? Without anxiety, fear, and worries. So with enthusiasm, but it needs the system. You need to feel safe and protected in your body. So for that, I will teach you 3 techniques tonight that will get you started. Does that sound like a good idea? All right. So the first thing is to calm your system. This is a technique, the 1-point focus, which is also used, as I was informed, by the American military forces. Now, my recommendation is that you don't only use this when you're in emergency, because I can guarantee you that you can't remember this for the life of you. So practice this perhaps 3 times a day as you get started. Now, first take a deep breath and then focus on the area around your heart. So below your heart, above the navel, at your belly, between your belly and your spine, the core of your body, the core. Now close your eyes gently and connect with this space and your heart. The heart, by the way, is hugely, hugely important. That I will share at perhaps another presentation. It's really important that you connect with your heart. Then breathe in feelings of calm through your nose into the heart. Visualize that you're breathing into your heart. With each exhale, through the mouth, gently release the stress and overwhelm of the day. You can make a sound. If not maybe as weeny as me, but really louder, because that activates and opens your chest area, but it also activates your vagus nerve. Okay, so do that loud, and with every inhale, let that ease and fill every cell and every nerve and every organ of your body with life force and white light. Imagine this to soak your body with light and love and life force. And release everything that no longer serves you. And you focus on your heart. So that calms your breath. Your breath is hugely important in this work. Do not underestimate your breath, and continue for at least 2 to 3 minutes, and then notice how calm you are. Now that you are calm, you can start working on the decision deadline method. Identify the decision that you're overthinking, and ask yourself, what's a reasonable amount of time to gather the information and consider options? I like to start practicing this with the smallest of all decisions, and do that more than once daily. And it's not whatever, but really decide, for example, what's for lunch. Decide it quickly, 5 minutes. Medium decisions. Where should I go for the weekend on a vacation? For example, a long weekend. Large decision, career, buying a car, what have you. Set a week. It is also hugely important not to be wishy-washy about it. So be very specific. Thursday at 2 p.m., not soon, but tomorrow at 10 a.m. Commit to deciding by that deadline, even if the information is incomplete, even if you think you don't have all the answers. Train your brain to make that decision, because it will start listening to you, because you're now taking charge of it. There's the difference. You're telling it. And the nervous system. Nervous system is huge. When the deadline arrives, make that decision. Choose. Just do it. Good enough beats perfect. It is, but why this works is, number one, the urgency. You set a deadline, you honor and respect it. That means you respect your decisions. It works on helping you increase your self-esteem. It certainly prevents you from overthinking and adding all those fires, more. No, less. Forces you to distinguish between useful analysis and rumination of the past or the projected anxiety about the future. It builds that muscle. It reinforces new neural pathways, creates new ones, and creates real feedback. If it was wrong, I'm sure it can be fixed. It can be moderated, right? Especially when you start with the little decisions. So you're getting into the habit. Small decisions keep you going. And now, here is where we work with your creative mind, with your higher self, by visualizing what you'd rather have experienced or a positive outcome. So you did the calming, you have worked on the thing. So now what I suggest, you decide on one thing that you'd rather have or experience. Let's take as an example, you're saying, I'd like to have a long weekend and I'd like to go XYZ. Okay, made that decision. Now, here's what you do. Close your eyes and imagine seeing that event on the screen. You can also go back to something that has happened in your past that you can imagine is, you can use that as a strategy to go forward. But in this case, let's just say it's the weekend, the getaway weekend. So now what I'd like you to do is see yourself on that screen in your imagination and make this scene that you are seeing really amazing, colorful, bright, rich, happy colors, lots of light, put detail into it. Who are you with? You are, as you're standing there, you're looking really confident and calm and enthusiastic. So make that image really amazing. The sounds really super uplifting and happy. And then the feeling of being in that moment, feeling that joy and the relaxed, happy atmosphere. When you're at the top of it, imagine floating into the you on that screen. And now you see what you see through your own eyes, hear what you hear through your own ears, and feel this amazing feeling. Then double the feeling, double the feeling, double the feeling, until you're at the height of this feeling good. And then I'd like you to anchor this. Let's say you can anchor it into the knuckle on the index finger of your non-dominant hand. With the two fingers of your dominant hand, tap the knuckle and then take it off. Then do it again and tap it again. Heighten the feeling, right? The image. And do this like 5 times. And then at the end, you take it off quickly. And then you lock it in, like click, locked in. Then you step out, and now you have anchored this good feeling and this vision and this knowing, seeing in your unconscious, and you can access it quickly. You can also make a power move like that or like this, whatever works for you. Practice this as well, because you're now feeding the positive, the calming, but also you're looking towards the future with joy and enthusiasm, and you're experiencing it in your body and in your nervous system. That's why this is so helpful. Kirsten's story was she couldn't decide whether she wanted wanted, had to, must, needed to sell her condo. When she came to me, she had been working on this for months. As I sat with her and I worked with her, I realized as I asked her questions, it was not only about the nervousness, the anxiety about this particular condo, but she associated it with past events in her life when she sold or had to relocate, and there were negative associations attached to that. So her protective mechanism kept her stuck, because being where she is meant that she would be safe. When this was no longer such an issue, but her nervous system had not gotten that memo yet. So again, we calmed the system, then worked on unattaching, dissociating the previous events with the current ones so that she could move forward. Here's what you need to hear, and that is that you're not stuck because you're in your head and because you're not capable of action. You're stuck because these are learned patterns that you learned because they were part of your protective system. And it was the thing that kept you safe. So, and therefore, it created this pattern. So now, like Kirsten, when she was worried and anxious and panicky, that meant, the system associated it with danger and it reacted. But that does not need to be your issue any longer. What is analysis paralysis really? Well, it is being in this freeze or fawn, being in this nervous system situation, crisis mode, and that leads to roadblocks. Here are 3 roadblocks that keep most people, that hold them back or keep them stuck. Roadblock number 1 is, I need more information before I decide. No, you really don't, because all you're doing is you are pushing it out there. You're procrastinating and overthinking, which is a disguise for your discomfort. It is your stress response is disguised as overthinking, as doing something good, but it's really not helping you at all. What you really need to hear is that you need to calm your system down and work where the problem's at. It's not in your head. Well, in your limbic system, so it is in your head. So, but it's not from the cognitive thinking part. It's from the reaction. Roadblock number 2, what if I make the wrong choice? It will be a disaster. It could very well be. But it could also be that not making a choice is a disaster. And again, what you need to hear is that all you're doing by not deciding is that you're feeding the neural passage, you're feeding the problem, you're taking away from your inner resources, from your Fort Knox, the thing that is of this great value, that the untapped inner resources, you're giving and feeding the problem instead of the solution of doing the thing. What you need to hear is calm the system down. I just need more time. No, you don't. I think we understood it by now. It's the more time you give yourself, the more you give yourself permission to have more, find more solutions, more avoidances, more procrastination, add more stuff on top of it, just so that you can tell yourself, yeah, I can't make that decision yet. It's not going to help you. It's going to make the problem worse. Remember, you're feeding that fear thing, the threat, the danger, the monster under your bed. That's what you're doing. You need to hear is work on the right story. Sharon's blocked the decision making. She had made an investment of $18,000, something that she believed would help her. There were promises made. Things happened. Things always happen. And she didn't get what she had expected. And she felt very bad about it. She went into the fight mode, the flight and fight mode, totally anxious about it. And she, for months, she was going back and forth. And finally, she came to the decision that she couldn't make a decision and she wanted to give this issue to the attorney, which would have cost her even more money than the $18,000 that she'd invested already. What it also would do is that she would be saying that I can't make that decision, when in reality, she could. We started talking and we got down to what it really was that she wanted to get out of the 18,000. What was it that upset her, apart from the fact that she was not getting what she had been promised? But what was going on even more deep underneath it? And that was really being totally anxious and angry and stuck and paralyzed. What if I lose all my money? We calmed her down. Now that she was calm, her prefrontal cortex could do the thinking. The house was no longer on fire. She could do the thinking. We came up with great plan A, plan B, plan C. As she planned to meet with the person, and she got almost everything she wanted out of it. Almost is important to know because we can't usually get everything. That's part of negotiating. We give a little, we get a lot, but it was in the conversation that she got what she wanted. And so that was by calming her down and getting clarity and confidence and competence that she could do it herself. Everyone knows that you can go farther faster with a guide who's done this before. And that was what she found out. And I have spoken about the issue tonight, the problems and why they are a problem, but it is generalized and they are not specifically made to your needs and to your triggers and to your unique roadblocks. And here's what I want to give you to get you from the stuck to becoming unstoppable. I want to give you the action activation framework and a recording of the chaos calmer that usually sell for $547, but you will get those for free today. And you'll discover with the activation framework is that you will that your intelligent mind is not your biggest obstacle. You will get the 3-step decision accelerator, the pattern interrupt, which is really important. So just get out of the rumination. You will get the overthinking trigger map. It's all in one thing. And when you complete this and you send it back to me, you're getting a 1-hour coaching call with me that is also free. The chaos calmer is essential because that helps you to calm your system down so that you can work on the action activation framework. So this is really key that you have the two things together. I'm thinking that this weekend I want to make another video. If I do, I will throw that one in as well, which is the 7 different breathing patterns that will help you to get through the 7 different stages of anxiety and paralysis. Why am I giving you these free bonuses? Perhaps because I'm crazy. No, not necessarily. I always think about that because I'm like, I see that Ellen DeGeneres because I'm generous today. All right. I want to incentivize you to start working on yourself because here's the truth. It's not going to correct itself on its own by just thinking about it and by just saying, oh, one day I'll get there. It won't get there. Everyone has to work on these things. So I want to make this an easy decision for you. So that's why I'm giving you these 3 things, because I want to invite you to do something for yourself. And that is to get on my course, a 5-day intensive course, which is, I call it the catalyst from stuck to unstoppable. It's 5 days. I'm planning to do it for 90 minutes, between 60 minutes to 90 minutes from Monday to Friday. And I've chosen the dates from the 10th of November to the 14th. So the reason why I built this course, because I realized that I want to guide you to calm the system down, because most approaches are made is dealing with more motivation, get you, oh, when we are super excited, we will get over it. Yes, that helps too, but it's not the only thing. You first have to understand that there is something that has to do with your nervous system, with the memories in your body, with certain things that happened in your past, so you can let go, heal the wounds, so that you calm the system down, balance it, and then you can do that motivation and move forward. These are the dates, 10 to the 14th, and it's only $47. I've made it easy, an easy decision for you to take me up on this course. The obstacle is the way. When we do the avoidance and the procrastination, we're doing the relief, finding the relief and going around it. But again, that is going to make the problem bigger. The obstacle becomes bigger. The way is to go through it, and the obstacle is the way. That's the course structure. We're going to do an overview of the problem. Then I'm giving you a pattern recognition and a mapping of that, the nervous system regulation, real-time pattern interrupt practices, and new pattern installation. So there will be breakout rooms where you're going to be practicing with someone else these things, so it becomes a little bit easier for you. Yes, it's crazy. $47. I know that usually it's a dinner cooked at home is about $47, give or take. But the intention of this course is that it will take you from where you are to a level up, so that you can start going up and up. That $47 is not an issue. And that dinner can cost you a whole lot more, and it's not an issue. So that's why I am doing this, to make it an easy decision. You may wonder if this is a scam. Well, first of all, if this is a scam at the $47 level, my father would be laughing and say, honey, if you want to scam people, then do it at a higher value, because it's the same punishment. So no. Is there really a solution to being stuck? Yes, there are solutions. And this one is looking at it differently, from the body and the nervous system, to then work with the cognitive part, with creating new patterns. Will this work for you? Honestly, I don't know. And here I'm going to tell you why. When you do the work, it will work for you. If you don't do the work, it will not work for you. That's my guarantee, for sure. Can I bring you the solutions? I've been working with many people, and I have brought them the solutions. However, if you're doing the work and you're showing me that you're doing the work and it's not working for you, I will refund you your $47. You can keep the bonuses, obviously, but you will get your $47 back. Yes, it's crazy. Email me and I will put this in the chat right now. Hold on. I will put this in the chat right now. So there it is. You can email me that you're saying, yes, we want to do that. Finding relief, as I've said over and over again tonight, is the first step. Finding relief is if you want to check your car's engine, if the engine has a problem, or if it's the driver hitting the gas and spinning your wheels and wheels and wheels, is you have to turn the engine off. Same with your nervous system. You have to turn it off. Then you can start working on the underlying issues. The truth is, everyone knows that you go faster with a guide because it helps you to build unshakable confidence in your abilities to succeed. You'll break those old habits and patterns. You achieve goals faster than you think, and you can actually take action instead of being stuck in overwhelm, and get calm, confident, and clarity about what you want. One of the easiest and fastest ways that I have for you is to hop on a free call with me. On this call, what we will do is we will get to work. I will ask you questions about your present current situation, the one thing that is keeping you back, and find out what your goals are. Then I will give you some unique solutions and things that you can apply immediately. If this is for you, and it is for those people who want to move forward, it is not for being wishy-washy, of pushing it away into the future. This is making a decision that you want to go to the next level and to the next level. I invite you to take me up on this free call, no strings attached. For those of you who get on the call, and those of you who want to join the course, you can also get on the call. And you will get your breakthrough strategy plus the framework and the chaos calmer. So it's an easy decision. You have a choice if you want to repeat or evolve. Do you want to keep staying stuck in the problem, spinning, being the victim, feeling overwhelmed, and wondering what if it doesn't work, instead of going towards the future, evolving, opening up, being cognitive, thinking, calm, and becoming the solution and nurturing the solution, feeling confident? You're here because you want more. You know that there is so much untapped potential within you already. Tonight, you may be realizing that you're taking that potential, that Fort Knox that is within you, and you're feeding to the problem instead of towards the solution. You may have also understood from when I asked you in the beginning what it is that you think keeps you stuck. Now you realize that it's maybe something completely different. It's like wanting to access your Fort Knox, but you're on the top floor when Fort Knox, your gold reserves are in the basement. You have the wrong keys, the wrong code, and you're applying going through the wrong security clearance, but you can't access it. And in the meantime, you're expending all of your riches to feed the problem. You have so much potential that's stuck. That's right. And you haven't come this far to just come this far. You're here for a reason. You're still here in this room because you want to move upwards, forwards, and go towards the solution rather than being held down and not feeling really good about yourself. Isn't that true? So one more time, here is my offer, and I've put it in the chat. And let's just quickly recap what we did for tonight before we break. The problem is that you're overthinking, and your problem is that you cannot act. You lose momentum, faith, trust, confidence in yourself. You must solve it, because otherwise you cannot move out and forward. But your understanding tonight, and one thing that you have taken, is that it is not a motivational or willpower or just push through it, you've got this. It has to do with your body, your somatic information, your nervous system. That's what will get you out of this. And when you have the right tools and right guidelines, that's what will help you getting out. So now what I'd like to do is turn off the recording